The third idea is a habit tracker. It's only for working out, for exercising. And so you would pick your avatar. So let's say, nope, emoji picker doesn't work. Emoji picker does not work. Nope. Okay, so you could choose your favorite avatar for working out. So let's say you're a cyclist. You could choose the cyclist emoji, and you would start level 1. And then when you would set your goal. Let's say you want to cycle 3 times a week. And then when you're on track with your goal, your avatar will grow, your emoji will grow, and if you're not, then it will shrink. And it's only for working out. You could pick different sports. You can do cycling, gym, CrossFit, surfing, whatever you like. And then I was thinking we could couple that with some kind of like public avatars. So you would have, I don't know, a room or dashboard or whatever with other people's avatar with their username underneath it. Something like this. I'm gonna make this a bit shorter so you guys can see all. $30. No. There we go. So, okay, here you have. So these are 3 startups ideas that I have that I would love to build this week. I would like you guys to pick your favorite one, so you can type in the chat 1, 2, or 3, or whatever. The one you like the most. I'm gonna add some marks next to it to see which ones are the favorites. If you don't like any, just say you don't like any, and then we can think and brainstorm for some other ideas. But we would start with this, and then once you guys have decided, we would just pick one, and we'll go deeper into what exactly is going to be in the app. What are the main features we're going to build for that MVP? Because the idea is to build it in a week, which means there are a lot of things that I won't be able to do. So we'll decide, what's important for the MVP, what's not. We'll go 7 times 24 hours. Crazy good, but I might do it, no? We have a lot of components to do some saturate thing. So I'm gonna maybe reduce the colors when you're level 1, for instance, and increase them when you're level whatever, like you gain experience. Like 3 times a week. If now you set it up to 4 times a week, your experience will change, even though you reach your goals in the past. And if you don't show up, okay, your avatar. So maybe if you guys are tech, you can let me know what Next.js API routes for the API stuff, which I can easily connect to MongoDB database. I mean, I'm used to this tech stack, so it's gonna take a few minutes. Do you think there's a way I could bathroom brick? Guys, it's the bathroom brick. Give me a second, I'll be back. People build a workout habits by having their own little avatar that'll grow in. That's quite nice. Nope. So the entry page. There we go. The design capacitor to turn the app into a native. So kind of. That's perfect. Pizza or burger? Adventures can't decide between anything, really. Can you make a
job 6 months ago to build a startup. You told husbands
decision in time and
to build a startup. You told me we were going to be rich.
All right, give me a second. I think I just need to share the link and we should be good. Toggle so I can see if you guys are here and can hear well. All right, if you are somewhere here in the chat, please let me know so I just know everything is working fine. Where is it? To give you a reason. Okay. Okay. All right, it looks like we're live anyway. Something like this. All right, all right, all right. Okay. I think we're okay. Okay, sorry if it's taking a little while. You're having issues. No, okay, you're not having any issues. Okay. Well, okay, that's gonna be a quick wrap up.
Against it, Biden doesn't even know what it is. If you ask Biden, sir, are you for or against crypto? What's that? What the? Get me off the stage. He's saying, get me off the stage. No, he has no idea. But look, Gensler is very much against it. The Democrats are very much against it. And I say this, a lot of people are very much for it, probably a lot of the people in this group. And I'm fine with it. I want to make sure it's good and solid and everything else, but I'm good with it. And if you like crypto in any form, and it comes in a lot of different forms, if you're in favor of crypto, you better vote for Trump. They are against it.
configuration and make it equal to a new instance of a configuration class, which we call, and we can pass some params, such as the base path equal to played environments dot sandbox and base options. That's an object where we have the headers. And here we can use our environment variables by setting up our played client ID equal to process.env.played underscore client underscore ID, as well as a played dash secret, which will be equal to process.env.played underscore secret. And you have previously added all of these variables to your environment variables. Finally, we can export const played client and make it equal to new played API, inside of which we pass our configuration. And this is great because we can see that a lot of these softwares have different things in common, such as AppWrite. You do the same thing. You create a client and expose it to your app, and then you can use that AppWrite client to do all sorts of things. In a similar fashion, you create a played configuration and a played client, which then you can call within your server actions. That's it for the config. Pretty simple. But now let's put it to use. Going back to our auth form, if we scroll a bit down, you'll notice that we left some space for the played link, and that time came. So let's create a new component in the components folder, and let's call it played link.tsx. Run rafce, and let's import it right here within the auth form. Played link, coming from /played link. Now, before we go into that link, let's pass it some props. I'm going to pass it a user, which is equal to the user, which we already have access to. And I'm going to pass it a variant, as there will be two different situations where we'll use this played link. So let's pass a variant of primary for now. Now, let's command click into that played link, and let's accept all of those props. We can do that by destructuring the user as well as the variant to connect a bank. So let's return just an empty React fragment, and within it, check out our variant. If the variant is triple equal to primary, in that case, we can return a button. This is a ShadCN UI button that will say connect bank. Else, as the second part of the ternary, we can check if a variant is triple equal to ghost. This will be a new one, which we'll use soon. In that case, we can return another button, which will also say connect bank, but we'll modify the styles a bit. And if it's not either one of these variants, then we're going to return a third thing, which will also be a button, but with a bit of a different styling. It will also say, you can guess it, connect bank. Now let's figure out where this button is on the screen. First of all, we used it in the auth form, so it will be in /sign up. And if we go back to the auth form, right now in this page, we're not checking for the active user session, so we won't know that we are actually logged in. So for that reason, we can simply comment out this check. So I'm going to comment out the user as well as these lines right here. And of course, the ending part of the ternary operator, which will be all the way there. That way, it will show right on top. And now we can see it for the time while we're actually building it out. Great. going back to here, we can continue adding some styles, such as we can give this button a class name equal to played link dash primary. And let's spell it properly. So it can be played link. And immediately you can see that now we have a regular primary button allowing us to connect the bank. Of course, what would this button be without a function that does something when you click it? In this case, we'll refer to Plaid's documentation, specifically the Link Web SDK, a reference for integrating with the Link JavaScript SDK and React SDK. We have already gone through the installation process, so we can scroll down to the usage. I won't be copying anything here, rather I will teach you how to do it from scratch. So first things first, we have to create a config object. And let me just increase the width just a bit here. And let me also just increase the width of our editor just a bit. There we go. So now let's create a config object, const config of a type played link options coming from React played link. This will help us with our TypeScript is equal to an object where we can define a token as well as on success handlers. You can see that here. And now it's up to us to define that on success function. We can define it right here above by saying const on success is equal to, and usually this is a type of function that you would wrap in a use callback, as we don't want to recall it every time it gets called. Rather, it's just a callback we're passing that happens on success. So you can import use callback from React. And the way that that works is you just wrap it, is that you call it as a hook, and then within it, you declare a new async function. So we can say async, open it up, and it can be unnamed, like this. And as the second parameter of the use callback, you provide when it should get recalled, and that is whenever the user changes, the one we're passing through prompts. Okay, so now we have an empty on success, but what about a token? Well, let's create a new use state field, which will help us to get access to that token. Use state snippet. Let's call it token and set token at the start equal to an empty string. And let's not forget to import use state from React. Then we can also form a use effect so we can fetch that token on time. A use effect works in a way that you create a callback function and provide a dependency array on when you want that function to be recalled. And of course, don't forget to import use effect from React. Within here, we cannot simply say something like await fetch token, even though you might think you can make this function async. This is illegal in React. You can never make this first function within use effect async. Instead, what you need to do is create an internal function. Const get link token is equal to an async function. And then you can use await within here, and you can immediately call the get link token below. This is how you do async stuff within the use effect. Now within here, we'll want to somehow fetch that data by saying const data is equal to await create link token, to which we want to pass the user. So we want to connect our existing user, which is logged in, to a played user through a token. For now, this function doesn't exist, create link token, so we can comment it out, and we'll soon create it as a server action. Finally, once we get back the data, we can set the token to be equal to data dot link token. For now, we can comment that out as well. Next, let's figure out what happens on success. Well, here, you're going to get access to one parameter, public underscore token, and it will be of a type string. So right here on success, we want to exchange that public token, which will allow us to link a bank account. So we can say await exchange public token, call it as a function, and pass one parameter that is an object of public token, which we need to call public underscore token, as that's how we're getting it from the props or from params, and then we can pass the user as well. And of course, this is a second server action we'll need to create. So let's comment it out for now. And after we exchange the public token, we want to push to the homepage, because that means that we have successfully linked our bank account. So let's just quickly get access to the router by saying const router is equal to use router coming from next navigation. And then right here, we can say router.push to /. Great. So now we have laid out the foundation for onSuccess and the token, which we need for our configuration. And right now, it's complaining a bit that this onSuccess is not of the right type. So what we have to do is assign the type of played link onSuccess by saying use callback, and then immediately after, define a type of played link onSuccess, which we can import from React played link. And it looks like I made a typo here. This was supposed to be just string. There we go. So now we have onSuccess, we have the use effect, and we have created a configuration object needed for the next step, which is this right here, to be able to use a use played link hook. So right here, let's say const, and let's destructure the open as well as ready state by saying equal to use played link, to which we pass the config we just created. And don't forget to import use played link from React played link. Now that we have that, we can finally do what I told you we would do, and that is make this button functional by saying onClick is equal to open. And as TypeScript is complaining in this case, we need to make it a callback function, which would look something like this. Finally, we can give it a disabled state. If not ready, in that case, it has to be disabled. And as you can see, in its current state, it is indeed disabled. So now we have to do our best work to create create a link token. So let's navigate over to our lib, actions, user actions, and let's create a new server action. Export const create link token, which is equal to an async function that accepts the user of a type user as the first and only parameter, and we can open up a try and catch block. In the catch, we can simply console.log an error, and in the try, we need to create our link token. But first, we need to define the token parameters by saying const token params is equal to an object. Here, we need to follow a specific structure to let Plaid know what we want to do with their product. Specifically, we can say user is an object where the client user ID is equal to user.$ID. Alongside that, we have to provide it a client underscore name, and this will be equal to user.name. We can also select which products we want to use, and this will be an array with a string of auth as products, like this. Make sure to import it from Plaid. This is just for TypeScript. We can also choose a language. In this case, I will make it EN for English, and also country underscore codes. In this case, it can be an array of US as country code coming from Plaid, and then array like this. So now we have the necessary token params to generate a new link token. So let's say const response is equal to await Plaid client dot link token create, and we need to pass the token params. But the question is, where is this Plaid link coming from? Well, we have created it before. It is coming from the Plaid file, export const Plaid client. So let's import it at the top by saying import Plaid client coming from add /lib/Plaid. Great. And now that we are generating this response, the response should contain a token. So we can just return a parse stringify of an object saying link token is equal to response.data.link underscore token. And there we go. That's how you create a link token using Plaid. So going back to our auth form, or rather to our Plaid link component, we can uncomment this part where we get and set a new token. Make sure to import create link token from lib actions and add a user to this dependency array. Great. And now for the second missing piece of the puzzle, the exchange public token server action. One that exchanges our existing access token for a token that allows us to do stuff. And by stuff, I mean banking stuff. And there's a lot of banking stuff here. First of all, connecting our bank account, making payment transfers between accounts, and even connecting a payment processor so we can transfer funds in the first place. There's a lot of stuff. So let's dissect it together. What we're about to do in this function starts right here in step 2 of our logic map, which of course connects our bank account with our third-party applications. In this case, our banking app, Horizon. So what happens first is we generate a Plaid link. And to do that, a token is required to initialize a Plaid link client component. So here's the process, and here's exactly what we'll do in the next function. First, we create a link token. Then we pass the generated link token to Plaid link. Then we trigger a flow of connecting bank account to application through Plaid link. On success, Plaid link will provide a temporary public token, and then we want to exchange that public token with a permanent access token. Then we exchange the access token to get the bank information, and then we connect with processor, which we'll talk a bit more later on. In this case, Dwolla is the payment processor of choice. But the most important thing here is that this is a handshake. First, we pass something to Plaid link, then it gives us back the temporary public token, and then we exchange that public token for an access token. Okay? That way, Plaid knows for sure that we are a legit actor trying to get legitimate information. In the README down below, you can find the complete exchange public token function. So take it, copy it, and paste it here. But for now, I will explain it step by step. First, we have to create a typical server action called exchange public token that accepts a public token and a user as 2 different parameters. Then we want to open up a new try and catch block. In the catch, we can simply console log an error. Simple enough, right? In the try, we need to exchange our public token for the access token and the item ID, which is contained within the response.
Plaid provides you with a single set of endpoints that help you build powerful financial. Whether it's talking to identity verification sources around the world, retrieving income information from payroll providers, or connecting to thousands and thousands of banks on behalf of your users, Plaid will let you query and receive data in a consistent manner. So you can use Plaid for everything from account verification to approving customers for lines of credit to building some pretty great personal finance apps. You can get started with Plaid by signing up for an account on the Plaid dashboard. There you'll have access to up to 3 different environments. The sandbox environment deals completely with fake data and is the best option to use when you're first starting out. Development gives you access to real data at real banks, but for a limited number of accounts. It's best to use this with a handful of trusted testers. And production gives you unlimited access to real data, but you'll be billed for your usage. You may not have access to this right away. To talk to the Plaid API, you'll be making calls from your application server. Nearly every call you make will include your client ID and secret, so we know it's really you. You can get this information from the Plaid dashboard, and the Plaid SDKs can simplify this process for you by including this data with every call you make. On the client, your user will do the work of signing into their bank, selecting what accounts to share with you, and giving Plaid permission to access their data. This is is done through a UI widget called Link that handles all the heavy lifting for you. So the general process for connecting to most Plaid products looks like this. When your user is ready to connect your app to their bank, your server will talk to Plaid to generate a Link token. You'll do this by sending a call to the Link token create endpoint and passing in some information about how you'd like to configure Link, such as what products you want to require, what language to use, and often some product-specific information. What you'll get back is a Link token. Send that token up to your client. From there, you can use Plaid's client-side library to initialize Link. You'll pay out early. You'll sign into their bank, select what accounts they want to share with you, and possibly perform other setup steps depending on the products you're using. When your user is done connecting to their bank, you'll get back a public token. This is a short-lived, single-use token that has only one purpose, and that's for your client to send it down to your server, where you can then exchange it for an access token. You'll do this on the server by making a call to the endpoint to
here. And we do that by awaiting Plaid client dot item public token exchange, where we provide our public token in exchange for the access token. So let's extract the access token and the item ID from the response we have just gotten. Now that we have those, we can get the account information from Plaid using the access token. That's going to look something like this. And since we're working just on the code now, I want to expand my Visual Studio Code. After we get the account response, we can get the account data from it. And once we have the access token and account data, we can create a processor token for Dwolla. And Dwolla, a bit of a weird name, but it's a payment processor we'll be using for processing our money through Plaid on our platform. So we can do that by creating a processor token, using the access token and the account ID by first of all generating a request object for that token. Then we can import these TypeScript types from Plaid. Once we have the request token, we can generate a processor token that will look like this. Const processor token response is equal to await Plaid client dot processor token create. Then we get access to the processor token, and now we have to fund our account somehow. Plaid client, so we can create a funding source, specifically a funding source URL for a specific account using the Dwolla customer ID, the processor token, and the bank name. Think of this as connecting the payment processing functionality to our specific bank account so that it can send and receive funds. This add funding source is a special server action coming from Dwolla, and thankfully they have a very good documentation page where I found all of those functions. More on that soon. But after we get the funding source URL, we want to make sure that it actually exists. So we can create a new if statement right here. And finally, if a funding source exists, we want to create a bank account. And that's going to look something like this. We create a bank account using the user ID, item ID, account ID, access token, funding source URL, and the shareable ID so the users can transfer money between different accounts. This encrypt ID is coming from utils, and this create bank account is a server action which we will create together very soon. Finally, once we create a new bank account, we want to revalidate the path to reflect the changes. And this is coming from the next cache, which will allow us to basically see the new account we created on the homepage. And then we just want to return a success message after all of this hard work by saying return parse stringify public token exchange complete. Great. So this was a tough one, and we covered a lot of ground, and it might take some time for all of this to settle. We will revisit this later on, but for now, you just have to know that we exchanged our public token for the access token, allowing us to create a bank account. We got that account data, and then we also connected a payment processor called Dwolla and allowed ourselves to transfer funds between different accounts. Now, with that said, how can we add a funding source using this special payment processor? Well, let's create a new special file under actions called Dwolla.actions.ts. And the code for this file will be attached to the README of this project. So copy it and paste it. And I want to quickly let you know that once you add this piece of code, we'll see an error in the browser for a very long period of time while we're fixing other stuff. But don't worry about that error. We'll get back to it later on. You haven't done anything wrong. It's just how it is. We'll get back to it later. And you might think, oh, is Adrian again giving me code to copy and paste? But sometimes it really is like that because we're using open source additional software where the developers that created it, thankfully, provided us some code to allow us to use their software in a simpler way. So as you can see, as I'm giving you code to copy, they have also given it to us in this integration examples Dwolla GitHub page. where we get the environment, we create the client, and then also all the other functions that we need to make it work. And the only thing that I had to add on top of that code was a function to initiate a transfer, which I found under Dwolla docs. You basically have to form a request body and then do a post request on Dwolla where you pass that request body indicating which account